everyone, and welcome to today's conversation on real estate collaboration in a new world presented by Place.net. My name is Ashkan Zandia, Chief Intelligence Officer at Cretech and Global Head of Real Estate Tech Intelligence, and I'm excited to be your host today. In the wake of the global pandemic, today's COVID-19 world has created significant challenges for commercial real estate professionals. Office space needs need a complete redesign. Working from home will be more common, and real estate discovery will move online. Ultimately, owners and brokers need solutions, and tenants and occupiers of space need guidance. In a few minutes, we will discuss and discover innovative strategies to collaborate and help commercial real estate professionals succeed in the new normal of real estate. Some of the key takeaways from today's conversation will be utilizing existing content to create productive virtual experiences, getting deals done, how to shorten the time from property discovery to deal execution, collaboration across stakeholders, tenants, owners, and of course, brokers, and collaboration across stakeholders. The agenda for today that we will follow is, first we'll discover the commercial real estate tech sector, the commercial real estate sector needs to adapt to a new normal. We'll have a conversation with Mike Beckerman and Jim, introducing Place.net, the collaborative platform for commercial real estate, Place.net product demo, a user testimonial, and of course, closing out with a Q&A with Mike and Jim. Throughout today's conversations, if you, our amazing audience and community, have any questions, please submit them using the Q&A button located at the bottom of your page. We love to hear from you, so please submit your questions. We'll do our best to answer them. With that said, without further ado, let's just jump right into it. It's my pleasure to introduce people that really don't need an introduction. One of the most beloved people, a visionary thought leader, and of course, CEO of Cretech, the largest international community of professionals devoted to technological innovation in real estate tech, Mike Beckerman. And Jim Shoemaker, founder and CEO of Place.net, the collaborative platform for commercial real estate. Mike, Jim, welcome.
Thanks, Ash. Ash, you know, you've become like the Jimmy Fallon or the Jimmy Kimmel or whomever your preference is of this pandemic environment and Cretech and the webinars, and you're doing a great job. So
thanks, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So welcome everybody. Welcome to Cretech Land. You know, we've been getting great feedback on these webinars that we've been doing, and the goal with them is really to just help the industry understand where we are, where we're going, hear from like the main thought leaders in this space, but also to get some specific product solutions that can help them do business in this really challenging environment. So this one I'm really excited about. Before I just set the table a little bit, Jim is somebody that I've been personally connected to as an informal advisor for a few years, and I've been a huge fan of his product, his team, and what he's trying to build. And it's something that I personally have a great deal of confidence and faith in, that it's going to help us now more than ever in this environment. So this is one that is near and dear to me, and one that I'm intimately connected to. So I'm really excited to hear Jim's presentation. Just a couple thoughts before I turn it over to Jim about where we are. And I don't want to get too much in the weeds about the environment. I think everybody knows what's going on, but just sort of like my thoughts as sort of the head cheerleader ambassador at Cretech. You know, like right now, clearly our industry, the real estate industry, and the innovation sector has the biggest opportunity to help people get back to work. Obviously, it's the medical community first, but when they talk about how are people going to get into buildings and in what capacity and what the buildings are going to look like, that's our industry. So in my mind, this is our challenge, but it's also our opportunity as a sector. And the innovation side, the side that we spend most of our time in, this is what we're all working on every day, is to try and help the real estate side understand some of these tools that they can utilize to help bring people back to work in the safest environment. We're going to be here for a while, clearly, and nobody's really understands exactly how we're going to get back to work. It's going to be in stages. We're going to have to reconfigure things. But in my mind, things are never going to go back to the way they were. And I think, and that's not a terrible thought. What I mean is, there are opportunities here to change the nature of real estate, to change the nature of how we interact, how we process, how we manage, how we invest, how we communicate, how we operate real estate. For the first time in my 35-year career, everything is sort of on the table. And I think there lies opportunity to be innovative. And there's never been a greater sense of urgency than right now. So it leads me to this particular webinar and what Jim's going to talk about. For me, the first couple weeks of the pandemic, it was like this fog of war. And I'm starting to see now in that fog some light. I don't see the blue clouds, blue skies yet, but I see some light. And what I'm seeing is and hearing is people are starting to talk about how we get back to work. Nobody really understands when, but how. And one of the key words that people need to start talking about is collaboration, right? I'm not talking Zoom, right? I'm talking about tools that people can get together and work on projects and transact in a virtual environment where we're working from home, right? So this is not Zoom. This is like Zoom on steroids. That's what we're talking about today. We're talking about collaboration. So in my mind, you're either going to be the bug or the windshield. You're going to be the ones that's sitting back and waiting for this to end. And then I think you're going to be, you're really going to be devastated then by the economic impact. Or you're going to get in front of this, start to adopt some tools, and try and transact with your clients, with your customers in some capacity. And Place.net is the platform that's going to enable you to get back to work faster. So it's my great pleasure to turn it over to Jim for his demo, which I'm super excited about. So Jim, my friend, it's all yours.
Thank you, Michael. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I really appreciate everyone in the audience taking the time to really understand what is near and dear to, I think, Michael and I's both hearts. We started thinking about this idea of collaboration really a couple of years ago, which was, how do we use technology in a way that really can, benefit this process? And as you know, there's a lot of collaboration tools. You mentioned Zoom, there's Slack, there's other technologies that are out there, but none of them were built for the commercial real estate process. And this is the largest asset class in the world. And to be able to transact on the type of deals and the magnitude of the deals that we're talking about without really a system of how we can kind of get together and do this more online, more of a 21st century view, is really what we're trying to do here. Unfortunately, along came this health crisis, which basically accelerated our launch, which basically says, we've been working with a lot of brokers and owners out there as we developed the platform, and they said, Jim, the time is now. You've got to do this. Like, this is what we need. This is a tool that can help us continue to get business done in an age of social distancing and whatever comes next. Because as you said, this new normal isn't going to be that normal. And we're going to need some way to continue to be able to do that in this world. So there's a few challenges that we kind of see in specific that really are kind of coming up here. One is this idea of real estate discovery. How do we actually research, learn, and choose spaces that can help us adjust? And so when you think about it from a building owner perspective, how do I actually get the ability for people to experience my businesses when they can't even walk through the front door? So we've got to solve that problem. The other is, as you also mentioned, is collaborating online is becoming the new normal. It is something that we're all sort of being to, we're working through the kinks, we're sort of getting familiar to the tools, and we're able to use them in a way that actually makes the work process a little bit easier. And so we're going to need to cope with tenants and other folks who are going to expect that level of technology innovation in this process as well. And then the last is, and this is one that kind of overwhelms me, honestly, is if you think about what office spaces need to become, as we try and figure out what have people done to the layout, to the way that they're bringing people back into office spaces or warehouse spaces, where they feel safe again. I mean, that's a giant question, and I know a lot of people are thinking about that, but how do we collaboratively solve those problems as well? So some pretty meaningful challenges. What that means is from an owner perspective, the challenge is scale. It's like, okay, I can build a virtual tour here of a couple buildings. I got to do this for all my buildings, all my spaces. This has got to be the way that people can experience my properties when they can't actually get in, which is the period where we're in, or where it's hard or even uncomfortable to get in, which might be the new normal. Or we just want to accelerate and take the friction out of the process of getting into the building in the future when hopefully we're back to a true normal. And I think tenants are really looking for guidance. You know, how do I do this? How do I reconfigure my space in the time frame that I've got? And both sides are really looking to brokerage firms to kind of guide them through this process and bring forth the tools that can help them do that. And unfortunately, up until now, it's been kind of repurposing tools that have been built for, the West Coast technology company. We really needed a set of collaboration tools that were built for this industry and how it works. And obviously the sense of place is key. If you think about what Zoom's doing for physical meetings and how we can see body language and see people's faces, we need to take those same sets of ideas and how do we get groups of people actually navigating places and experiencing those places together and being able to help, ask questions and really collaborate together on making some of those decisions happen. So when we think about how we can help, this is what I'm sort of excited about to talk about today, and as we get into the demo, is we found a way to take existing marketing materials, the content you already have, or content that if somebody's got a mobile device, you can easily kind of take and put into the place.net framework and get a virtual experience in minutes. And so even large building owners can actually do this and get something that's a meaningful experience on the other end. Most importantly, as you and I have talked a lot about this, Michael, is we got to put the people back into this process. This idea of being virtual has been a lonely experience, right? You get a link, you walk around, you do it by yourself, you form some of opinions, and you never tell anybody about it. So how do we do this together? How does a broker say, no, I'm not going to send you a link. I'm going to send you an invite to a collaborative experience where we're going to experience these properties together. And I'm going to guide and walk you through these experiences just as if I was actually doing this in the real world, where I can really get that give and take and that feedback and hear that firsthand, and frankly, help me do a better job guiding you to whatever the right space that you might need would be. And so again, talking with hundreds of owners and brokers throughout this process, we think we've kind of dialed this thing in. And I am super proud to kind of introduce finally to the world place.net. And I get that this is a sober time, and believe me, my wife's in healthcare. I know how sober this is. So if I come through or we come through a little enthusiastic, it's because obviously we've been working on this baby for a while, but most importantly, we also think it can really help. That this is the time, this is a tool, this is a way forward. Not completely, this is no panacea, but it's a way that we can begin to kind of, as Michael said, see through the fog of how we can begin to do parts of this process anew.
We need some enthusiasm, Jim. It's a good thing, okay? So
we
should be enthusiastic.
Okay. So, and we want it to be purpose-built. We want this to be for this industry. This is a large, massive industry. The deals are incredibly important. It's super important we got this right. And while we didn't really foresee, obviously, the COVID crisis, we think this is the right tech for the times. So in figuring this out, and then we'll get to the demo, you know, it's as I said, these are important, but there are two things that I want us to take away from today's conversation. One is that getting a virtual experience from the visual media you already have, or stuff that you can easily capture, or you have your property managers capture with just the mobile device, and place.net's the website, is here. We can do that. It's an open platform. We can use other people's content. So if you've already invested in other stuff, you can use that too in the collaboration platform. But most importantly, it's the people, stupid. They're the ones that are making this business run. And I really want to make sure that that is key and comes through. It's not just about the content. It's the people and how they turn that experience of this stuff into real progress. All right. So enough talk. Let's get to the demo. Would you like to find out about place.net? Sorry.
And Jim, just before you get into your product demo, anybody that would like to receive more information about your company, place.net, please click on the poll button on the bottom. It's not a poll. It's just a quick form to tell us if you like, yes or no, to receive additional free information about place.net.
Awesome. All right, so before we get into this, I'm going to invite Blair and Sean and Devin to kind of help me, because obviously this is a collaboration platform, right? So just me telling you how to use it isn't that interesting. We wanted to really kind of mock up what it's like to do this. So Blair and Sean, I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi guys, this is Blair Heavey, and I'm going to be a broker today. I've been a tenant many times in many cities, so understand the needs there. I've also led companies as they've transformed and reinvented markets. The commercial real estate process needs reinventing. I'm heading marketing and the launch of place.net.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sean Mcdonald. I have nearly 20 years experience of commercial real estate. The majority of that time is as a broker representing tenants. I'm excited to be here, head of sales for place.net, a company that is helping brokers, owners, and tenants adapt to the new norm.
And last but not least, Devin, who's playing the role of the tenant in our little demonstration here. Thank you, Devin. Okay, so before I hand it over to Blair, I just want to tell you a little bit about what you're looking at. So this is what we call the place portal view. So this is what you, and perhaps in this case, a tenant, so a set of brokers and a tenant, would be looking at in order to kind of have a collaboration experience. So we've got a series of buildings in the center here that have actually met Devin's criteria. And in the upper right, this is where it starts to get interesting. So this is where Sean and Devin, this is their place portal view. So they have the same kind of thing on their desktop or mobile device or tablet or whatever they're looking at. This is what they're looking at. So I, live, can see what Sean and Devin are actually doing. On the lower right here, you can see just a map of the properties that we've chosen. But as I actually dive into one, you can now see that I actually know where Devin and Sean are on actually the floor plan. We can similarly choose different sets of content and look at all the different media that we might be able to experience together. Lastly, on the left-hand panel over here, we have this notion of our communication panel. So this is something that could get used live, where right now as we're together, people can actually embed questions or jot down notes that they might want to remember. But more importantly, this whole thing is a collaborative platform after all. It's not a video conference. This is something that you're going to use over and over and over in the relationship you have with your tenant if you're a broker.
Hey, Jim, it's Mike. Can I just ask a quick question? Sorry to interrupt. So I know that building because I had an event, CRETEC had an event in that building, I think, in Boston. So where did all of these visuals, these assets come from? Is somebody supplying it to the portal, or are you going out and filming all this and collecting it? Like, who does that part of the process?
No, in fact, it's basically building owners themselves, if they want to be proactive and actually get their buildings on the Place network through place.net. And brokers are doing it as well. Matter of fact, when we get to the second floor here, that was all generated by a broker locally here.
Got it. Got it.
So yeah, or it's coming from marketing materials that you already have.
Got it. Okay. Perfect.
Awesome. All right. And so with that, I'm now going to hand it over to Blair and we'll get into the demo.
Great, great. Thanks, Jim. We're going to start with a simple survey. We've created the survey based upon our tenant, Devin from ABC Financial's requirements. For purposes of today, we're going to go focus on just one building, and that's going to be 100 Federal. As we take a look at that building, we can see, the basic information of the building and a drop down of information. And that shows us the square footage, the amount of floors that are on the property. And this was all brought in from existing marketing material, right? We've taken the content marketing material and the processes that you've known and moved them simply online to enable collaboration and to speed decision-making. So let's enter into 100 Federal, take a walk through the survey and what the building and the space offer. So as you can see, we're glancing around the right-hand side of the lobby. We look into the middle of the lobby, and it's easy. You can do it yourselves, but we've used existing marketing material that you already have, right? We're panning in and out around the lobby. Before we look at the space on the second floor, let's check out the lobby and some of the amenities. So let's start our journey by exploring, right? We've invited Devin, my prospect, and you can see her on the right-hand side in the view that Jim had showed you earlier, right? And we can also kind of see some of the amenities that the landlord has already, put into the building. You see the Blue Bottle Cafe. If you haven't had a scone or a cup of coffee at this place, if you're in Boston, you would love this, right? You can also see some of the other renovations that the landlord has done, such as the gym and improvements in the mechanical systems. So one of Devin's requirements is that she wanted to have a gym on site so that her team could come in and out and use the gym whenever they wanted. So you start your virtual experience much like you would do a physical visit. We're exploring the building amenities, the feel of the lobby when you enter, just how we're walking around, and you control as the broker the information as well as the flow of the survey. So let's continue and explore the lobby just a little bit more, right? If we take a look at one of the Panos features that we have, we can zoom around. Again, this was a picture that was done with an iPhone, point, click, capture, upload. You have any content, proof photos, etc., that you want to use within the Place experience.
I'm sorry, got a question. So I'm Devin, or I'm the prospective tenant. We're doing this in real time. We're going through the showing, right? And if I say to you, hey, what's that over there? I'm communicating with you while you're doing the tour?
Yeah, absolutely. You could communicate with me, or on the left-hand side, and we'll show you that in a bit, you can chat a question, right? So if you're shy and you don't want to have kind of your voice heard through place.net, you can also chat. So it's a very collaborative environment from that standpoint. So just as we continue within the lobby, right, we can highlight some of the distinguishing features of the lobby, right? The large cafe, as you can see, great meeting space and great entrance. We can look at the large TV and the nice surroundings, right? So similar to physically walking around, we're getting an immediate feel for the building. And as Devin is joining, you can start to see as she's scanning around, how her eyes are moving. You can see in the top right-hand side, she's looking at the lobby with us, right? She's doing her own kind of view, and it gives you some more information as a broker on the things that she likes and the things that you might want to highlight about the building. So we're exploring together. It's natural as you would do in person. You're seeing kind of the things that she's looking for. And that collaboration is visual as well as chat, right? As you can see, and we just discussed with Michael, on the left-hand side is you have a chat feature, right? So you can ask, Devin can ask, and other folks can ask for, you know, certain things that can be left there, addressed right then, or addressed at some point in the later time. Collaboration.
Me again, interrupting this wonderful presentation. Can't help myself, Jim. I'm sorry.
Go for it.
So
do it.
This is a closed environment, right? So nobody can log into this. They have to be invited. Because I saw one of the questions where someone said, "Why would a broker show?" It's a good question. I'm asking, doing your job, man. I can't help myself. Why would a broker show other brokers? Blah 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 blah. This is just the four of us. The five of us are in this private discovery tour of this particular space, right?
That's correct. Right.
Yeah, remember, this is in the context of a survey, right? So we've chosen some buildings. We've got our tenants, and you know, basically Blair and Sean are a team. They're working with a tenant to help them through that process. So yes, this is not something that the public is aware of. This is something that has been curated for that particular client.
Great. So, you know, collaboration, again, happens easily in multiple ways, and it's a natural thing for the users in this private environment.
For the brokers and owners that are in the audience, we all know tenants. Get tenants to organize their thoughts quickly and focus and respond with feedback on surveys and tours can be challenging at times. After all, they've got a business to run. You know, brokers, this gives you the ability to hand your tenants the ability to collaborate internally with other team members regarding the pros and cons of each of the space and capture all that information in one location. This really is the beginning of what becomes a living, breathing document that you can refer back to with your client throughout the entire lease process.
Great. And as you saw, as we were going through the demo, a chat came up from Devin on what the hours of the cafe were, and is it subsidized by the landlord? We can address that answer now, or we can wait a little bit later. So before we leave the lobby for the second floor, the space that Devin is interested in, let's go back to the TV one more time to highlight and tag this amenity so that Devin's colleagues can also see it when they come to visit their place.
Whether you're collaborating in real time or not, you know, brokers, the green sticky note is a terrific way to remind the tenant about the particulars of each space. Memorialize the likes and dislikes of each opportunity that you're presenting, and really choose how you do present that building to them to get your perspective of the building. Also an opportunity to allow you to share your exact thoughts and messages with the others in the group that were not able to be present during the time of the presentation. So other members of your tenant team, of your client.
Great.
Really control the messaging is the point.
Right. Thanks, Sean. All right, now let's go upstairs and check out, you know, Devin's potential space on the second floor. With a simple click of the button, we moved up the elevator and into the lobby of the second floor. We did this even without having to take stairs or, you know, any physical exertion. It's pretty good. So we're on the second floor lobby and about to tour this great space. As you can see, the space is currently configured with a mix of closed offices, some open floor plans, and we have the ability to scroll in and out to show the entire floor plan.
Quickly point out for the brokers and the owners that what you're viewing here, again, are existing floor plans, marketing materials, or photos taken previously. And at times, if you're walking through the space, you can even use your mobile device to capture what you're looking at.
So, question again from me, sorry. I'll never get asked to do this again. I know. Jim, so my question is so whether it's a warehouse, whether it's a retail facility, whether it's a suburban office, high-rise office, it doesn't matter, right? And two is whether I'm using Matterport or I'm using virtual APT, or I'm using this VR tool, that it doesn't matter to you, right? Like, you're agnostic in that, in space, and also in tools here, right?
Yeah, so the whole point of calling it the Place.net platform is we really want to support everybody. Like, one of the challenges when you think about incorporating this kind of an experience into a large brokerage or a large ownership group is, all the different kinds of content that can get created to support experiencing like this. As you know, there's tons of companies out there that do this in different ways. And what we wanted to do is provide a common platform that everybody could put their stuff in the Place.net framework. And then all you really would need to do is just integrate with the platform, and all the other content can seamlessly kind of come in. It's really, as this kind of experience comes of age, one of the things that typically is required is this notion of a platform that people can plug content into. Obviously the web being kind of the ultimate platform, right? We could plug anything into a website and use it. This is similar, except we're trying to really support the virtual types of content. And obviously getting back to, it's the people stupid. You can't experience it alone. You need to be sort of sharing that experience together in order to really get business done.
I think you just called me stupid, but I've been called a lot worse. But my other question is, so I am the head of real estate for a large corporation, and I've got, now I want 35 people on this tour. Like, is there any limit to how many people can participate at this at once? So I want people from different offices contributing. I want my construction team contributing. I want my architect. Is there a limit to how many people can join this this process?
I mean, there's some practical limits, but it's certainly within all the realms of what you just talked about, right? So, more the merrier. If people can contribute to the decision, because again, this is not about pretty content, right? This is about using content and people to get a decision. And so we can't really dictate what you need in order to make the decision. We're just giving you the flexibility to say, okay, here's the content I have. Here's the question that I have. Here are the people and the experts that I need to bring in to help me weigh in on that. Here we got a decision done. And, we did a hell of a lot less visiting of the property in that process.
Great. And that's what I love. That's what I was talking about earlier about. It's the 2.0 of all of this, from Zoom to this, not to pick on Zoom, they could be picked on, is the collaboration. And that's what got me so excited. Okay.
Great. So thanks, guys. Just, finishing up on the second floor, I want to show you kind of the Guide Me feature within the platform, right? We're going to be able to direct Devin along. So as soon as we hit that feature, you saw the blue come up for both Sean and Devin. Now I, as the broker, am able to guide them through the space. We're walking around, we're asking questions and collaborating, either in chat or voice to voice, and you're educating the tenant about the unique features of the space while also guiding them around. So for instance, Devin, I want to draw your attention to the open floor plan here, the portion of the space that you wanted to be able to collaborate with your teammates, even the pool table that's there, and that you liked the floor to ceiling windows. And that was really allowed space for well-lit areas for you to come in. And that was something that was super important for your colleagues. So finally, you'll notice that the chat can happen with tenants, even when I'm guiding them, right? You'll start to see Devin's asking questions as, what is the HVAC setup, heat pump, or VAVC? So you start to get those questions, learning more about the tenant and addressing their questions.
The collaboration function is really meant to allow the brokers to be more responsive to their tenant clients. It can also serve as an historical record of why buildings were eliminated from consideration, or why they were selected to be moved to the short list for an actual physical tour. You can help your tenant get to the point where they feel comfortable about making a decision to move forward a lot easier by using Place.net, and really empower that deal to move forward as we speak.
Great.
My friend Julia Art wants to know when it's going to be available in Europe, Jim. So we got to go from this to Europe. Quick.
Let's go. I'm ready.
Julia will help you. Trust me.
Beauty of the web, man. We can do it anytime.
Exactly. Collaborating across any time zone.
Yeah, no, it's one of the funny things is that, not to get too technical, but this collaboration capability is done in a very lightweight way. So a lot of the challenges that you might have with Zoom meetings about like bandwidth and things like that, this is a much more efficient protocol that we've used. So I've actually done what we're just doing. I've guided from Wi-Fi from a plane, and been able to kind of take people through buildings. And so, yeah, let's go. World Wide Web.
So thanks everybody for touring with us, as we showed you the power of Place.net. I'm going to hand it back to Jim, and Jim's going to show you the mobile ease and elegance of the platform.
Great, thanks Blair, Sean and Devin, I appreciate you that. So what we've just looked at, a couple of points I want to resonate with is this is kind of the lowest common denominator content-wise. Like this is the stuff that everybody has. This floor plan came from a brochure. The content came from the broker who was just touring the property, shooting some pictures. So there's so much more you can do to really enhance the experience. One of the things that we're going to be bringing in is all of Google's Streetview content is going to be woven into the collaboration platform. We're, again, looking for partnerships with a lot of the other folks out there who do virtual experiences. All of that content is going to be able to be brought into this collaboration platform. But at scale, it's got to be easy and it's got to be simple. And not every time do you need a robot or a Matterport to actually get the decision you need done. Matter of fact, the vast majority of them don't. So what I wanted to do is kind of switch gears a little bit and show you how easy this is to do. So what I've got right now in front of you is a screenshot of my smartphone. And basically what I've got here is the kind of behind the scenes view of what you were just experiencing. Again, to kind of hit the point about how easy that is to do, I'm just going to click add photos. I'm going to go to the photo library on my phone. I'm going to go and choose a photo. Click done. And now my favorite golf shot, which I'm sure to actually quadruple putt, is now part of that experience. And I'll just show that to you by actually opening up the mobile viewer. So everything that you've just seen us do on desktop can be done on tablets, can be done on mobile devices, and the experience is essentially the same. So, you've got the integrated floor plan, we can navigate around there. You've got the chat, and if I look at the content and scroll down here, there's what I hope to be doing in the not too distant future. And just one final point here is we'll go back to where we just were. I'm just going to refresh this just so it pulls the most recent content and the experience that we were in just now. There we are. So again, it's not only easy, but it's instantaneous. So if someone, again, across the pond, in Europe is actually with me right now, and all I wanted to do is just kind of send her a picture because she had a question about something and I knew I had it. That's the process. Upload it, boom, she's got it. We're talking about it together. We're figuring out when our tea time actually is. All right, just a couple more things before I leave the demo. We've gone through a lot about what it's like to collaborate with content. What is it like to build these lightweight virtual experiences in a very fast and simple way and do that collaboratively? But behind the scenes, there's an enormous amount of other sets of tools that we don't have time to kind of go through with today. What I would recommend you do is go to place.net, click the request a demo link. We'll put you in the experience that we were just in live. So instead of watching me and Sean and Blair do it, you can actually be doing it with us and really get a sense of what that collaborative feel is like. There's an enormous amount of tools around specific aspects of commercial real estate. While you're managing a survey, that was the type of project we were just doing. If you're managing a build out, again, we talked about tenants having to redesign spaces. That's the kind of project you'd use to kind of bring in architects and furniture providers and space planners and health experts to try and figure out how to run a project like that. If you're a building owner, just trying to get your building out there in front of people, knowing that so that it's aware and that, you know, the kinds of things you might have been investing in, touchless elevators, touchless doors, you want to get that feature out in front of people, the whole market listing aspects of this. And you're building a database. All of the work that you in a brokerage or a building owner, you're building a database of this content that you can use and get analytics from. So if I just kind of click into kind of what we were just doing here, it tells me all the buildings, what the status of the buildings are. These are the places that were in there. These are the messages that we were just having. It tells me when people came in and how long they spent. So there's an enormous amount of information about how people are using the product in the system as well. But again, that's for another day. But I wanted to kind of let you guys know that that's there and encourage you to kind of sign up for a demo, and we can kind of take you through the rest of it. All right. So before I transition kind of back to the slides here and we get to the Q&A, it really is this notion of doing for places what Zoom is doing for faces, right? So that's what we're really trying to do, is put people in the buildings in real time, navigating, collaborating, guiding, being shown around, and having those kinds of conversations. So owners, you know, what we really want to help you do is personalize that experience. Again, what we showed you is kind of the easy stuff to do at scale, but we can do a lot more. You know, upload the stuff that you already have to get started as we prepare for the new normal. Again, because we really don't know what this is going to look like, second waves, all the kinds of things that people are talking about. We kind of got caught, you know, not having that capability for this one. There's really no excuse for us getting caught again. So let's get prepared and get that stuff built so that brokers and tenants can use it. Brokers, again, you need to be able to get in there and bring it to your ownership, bring it to your tenants, use this to actually free up the friction that's in this process right now, and be that innovator in your business market. And, you know, this is what a couple of folks have said. I won't kind of beat on this too much. John Mizell from CBRE and CBRE in general has been fantastic in kind of helping us kind of refine how this works and how it needs to work. Folks at Avison Young in Chicago really helped us kind of work in the building owner's perspective and the ways that we needed to kind of feature buildings in order to make sure those differentiations came through. And tenants, you know, these folks are our engine. They're the people who drive the entire economics of this industry. We need to give them better tools. We need to give them tools that get them through this crisis, and get those kind of concerns and the deals flowing again. All right. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to Ash.
And Ash, there's a lot of questions.
There's a lot of questions
as well.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of questions. Good ones.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah. So Jim and Blair and Sean, if you don't mind just taking yourselves off, putting your video back on, that'd be great. A few questions came through. One of the first ones that came through Q&A was actually in regards to COVID-19. You guys have a ton of real estate experience, and especially in the deal-making sector of the industry. How does your platform help in the COVID-19 crisis that we're currently in? Is anyone actually doing deals to begin with?
Yeah, no, in fact, you know, obviously there's been some meaningful friction put into the process. But yes, we have had just overwhelming response from folks saying, you know, how do I use this tool? I've got a deal, I'm having trouble, I can't get into the property. How do I use this tool to actually help me unlock that jam? And it's one of the reasons why we decided to accelerate this launch. Truth be known, we were going to do it a couple months from now. But because we saw the need, and because our, frankly, partners in kind of developing this is like, look, it's time. We got to do this. But people are trying to do deals, but it is hard without this kind of capability.
Absolutely.
I think I was pushing you hard too to get this thing to the market. Because again, like what I kept seeing in the conversations I was having, particularly with brokers and landlords, was, well, I can't get into the building to film it. And then I was like, well, but if you've got some existing material, I think it can be used here. So, I mean, that's why I was pushing for it. I know it was earlier than you wanted, but I just thought it was something that could help.
But it's not just that. you know, we've got features in the product. Again, I don't want to go down too far this path, but you can request content from others. So if you've got a property manager or an engineer who's in the building just to make sure that, you know, stuff isn't going wrong, they've got a mobile device, they can capture content for you. It literally takes minutes, as fast as you can take a picture. And if you want, you know, those panoramas that we were looking at, that was just the pano feature in your smartphone. There was no funky cameras or anything like that. That was just people going out and do that kind of pan thing.
That's cool.
It really isn't hard, and the process stays organized
Cool.
if you use that feature.
Jim, a few questions came in regarding data and security. I'm just going to consolidate it to make it one general overarching question here. So data and security question, basically who owns the data, and regarding the images captured on iPhone, who owns basically the data of that's uploaded onto your site?
Yeah, no, as far as kind of ownership goes, there's shared ownership. One of the reasons why Place needs to have at least some rights to use it is we can't give it to anyone else in a website. It's just kind of a technical legal issue. But the people who shot it obviously own it too. But the point isn't really about ownership. It's about how you use this content in this decision-making process, right? So how do you capture the content that's required for that specific use case? So one of the things that we've seen people do is they actually allow their tenants, while they're, you know, this is pre-COVID obviously, but while they were touring properties, they would be capturing images, because they always do this, right? They're always got their phone out and they're trying to snap images, try and remember stuff. We gave them place.net. It got sucked up right into their survey, right into their project. And so that building had all the tenant imagery as well, so that could be used to help them make decisions. Because again, we kind of showed a use case around brokers and tenants, but some of the biggest hurdles in the decision is between tenants and themselves, right? So you've got the person responsible for, you know, managing the project with you. Then you got to convince the CFO and you got to convince the CEO that this is the space. You got to get them to sign off. This is a whole new way for them to collaborate on that too.
That's awesome. A question came in early regarding collaboration. How many people can actually, I'm going to rephrase the question here, but how many people can collaborate at once?
It doesn't have really an upper limit other than a practical upper limit, right? You know, it's like if you've got 50 people all in there at the same time asking questions, it might be hard to actually handle that. But there's no real kind of technical limitations to it at this point.
Yeah. And then in terms of tagging, so throughout the product demo, you had a map on the bottom, on our screen was the bottom right side of the screen, where you would click on these beacons, it seemed like, and it would open to an image. Who does that tagging?
It's anybody who's in the system. So the tenant could be tagging things if there's something that they actually had a question that they wanted to remind themselves of. A building owner or a broker could tag things proactively to kind of say, these are the things that I want to make sure people know about. Like that largest indoor TV in Boston. You know, I know those folks are pretty proud of that. And so, yeah, it can really be anyone. And in fact, as you get more people, it's just me, they actually get personalized, right? These are tags from Jim. These are tags from Ash. These are tags from Michael. And there's a whole kind of Slack like channel structure that will be coming in the next version, so that you can actually have different conversations with different people inside the project, right? So if you wanted to just have a one-off conversation, you can do that, and that conversation wouldn't get shared with the rest of the people in the project.
Ash, there's a lot of questions I see about people asking about pricing. So
Yeah.
Jim, show me the money. How do you monetize this thing? Sorry to be putting you on the spot, but
look, no,
people are
understood.
asking.
You know, obviously it's like many software as a service models. It's a monthly subscription process. To be honest, at this point, we haven't finalized our pricing yet, but if people want to get on the system right now and use it, they can.
Great.
And because we know this is a problem, we know people need to get access to this. There are some different support structures that people can get involved in, but we really want people to engage with it. And anything that you do during the crisis, you know, will continue to be free to you. So
Good.
if you start a project, you get online, you start something, we're not going to pull that away once we sort of, figure out the kind of the subscription process.
Hey, that's I gotta say, Jim, that's awesome, man. Like I again, not to put you on the spot, but that's how I roll. And that's what I was talking earlier about, helping people get back to work. Again, in the safest environment, but this is something we could be using from home and using now. So the fact that you're willing to do that, to get people, trying these types of new tools, and this is what our mission is at CRETech is, helping the industry innovate. So, the fact that you're willing to do that is really awesome, man. So that's great. Community thanks you.
Jim, there's a couple of questions have come in regarding agent broker. I'm an ex-broker in office and investment sales.
You're recovering, right? You're recovering broker.
Well, not according to the Department of State of New York, but the conversation around agent broker, like if I'm a broker at a company and my company won't adopt the technology because maybe the sales process is extremely long and it takes the brokerage from a lot to kind of go through that process. Can an individual agent / broker associate sign up without having to go through the hoops of having their entire company sign up?
That's a
great question.
Yeah,
that's
really
great.
As Michael knows, we've talked to senior folks really across all the major brands on both the business and the technology side. And they will share with you that adoption of technology is a challenge, right? They put all this stuff forward and it doesn't get adopted. So Michael and I, we talked, long time ago, we're like, it's a bottom up problem. Like we got to if you solve the problems correctly for the people on the ground, everything else will come with it. If you try and do this kind of top down, I've got the best thing since sliced bread, and push that down into this entrepreneurial community, because as you know, brokers are basically just a bunch of business people trying to make deals. They're smart. They're going to use whatever works for them. And so what we really did is try and architect the system so that you can be one person and you can be getting value out of it right away. And in fact, most of the pilots started that way, right? We would get somebody who was a believer in an office and they would just start, just building stuff, and they would win deals away from other brokers with it. And that started to spread, and they're like, wait a minute, this guy's actually, winning deals. How is that actually working? They're starting to actually, grow their business with it, and the word started to travel, and then you sort of grow from there. But yeah, if you're just one guy and you see it, or one gal, and it makes sense to you, you can get started just as yourself. That's awesome. I see we have 8 minutes left today. And if anybody has any additional questions, please use the Q&A feature on the bottom of your page. And if you'd like to receive more information, please click on the polling button on the bottom of your page as well. I see a lot of people have requested to receive information from you guys, so it's really, really awesome. A few additional questions came in regarding the technology. Is it possible to add audio to this? For example, can a broker then narrate their tour and people?
That's a great question, man. That's such a good question.
Jim? Yeah, this is an awesome audience. So, but the answer is yes, not yet is, I guess, the real answer. But any kind of content that you can see, whether they're kind of voice notes or some other people have asked, can we do kind of voice over IP, kind of like what we're doing here with Zoom and that's coming too. So again, anything that either from a content perspective or from a collaboration perspective brings value or accelerates or helps those decisions to be made. Again, it's just bits, man. We just got to get it into the product. But getting that feedback's helpful, because right now what we're looking at is trying to prioritize those and get them out in the right way. That's awesome. I see a question came in regarding, can people get a recording of this file? Yes, you can. Within 24 hours, this video will be on cretech.com. So yes, and if you're a member of our community, which I'm assuming you are, you will receive a notification via our daily briefs, which go out every single day. And if you're not a member, sign up because it's free and it's awesome. So
hey, Ash, I'm sorry to interrupt, man. Perhaps the question also, my crazy way of thinking, maybe it was, is that tour taped, that experience for Jim? So I just went on a tour with you at 100 Federal or whatever. I want a video of that tour. Is that available? I don't know, Ash. I'm winging it here.
Yeah, it actually, some aspects of it are, right? So there's some aspects of this that we want to use, we sort of capture for learning. Some of this stuff we want to capture for analytics. But the conversations we want to make sure are kept pretty private, right? So we try not to kind of record that aspects of it unless you are part of that group. If you are part of that project team that is actually using that content, of course it's recorded. Like, it's there for you to use whenever you need it.
Another question came in regarding a feature, actually, in regards to notifications. Is there any type of notification that a comment has been made or a question has been asked? Some people might be focused on video, they might miss a comment here or there, or might miss a question. Is there any sort of notification whatsoever, whether it's a pop-up notification or email notification or anything like that?
Yes, so that is something that's coming very, very soon, because we've had, that's like risen to the top of our thing, where people want an email or a text message sent to them when someone, particularly one of their clients, embeds a question. Some people want a daily report. So just show me kind of what's happened with my projects over the course of the day so that I can make sure I'm staying on top of it. And then at office levels, we've got requests for people to kind of do like weekly summaries and things like that. But yes, the idea of making you aware so you don't have to be, actually in the particular project to become aware of some activity that's happening in there, that will be coming in a notification feature very, very soon. By soon,
Yeah.
I'm very soon.
That's awesome. I see another question. How will Place.net work with existing content or resources such as Google Street View, Panos photos, and floor plans?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. As we've talked about before, there are lots of ways that you can experience a building online. Again, this isn't a new idea. People have been trying to solve this problem for decades. Look, I haven't said this, but my prior company, Everyscape, pioneered Google Street View. So I understand the technology behind what's going on here. And what we really wanted to make sure is that we sort of we took a more democratic way where you're not needing $500,000 cars driving down the street to actually get this experience. We're like, look, if you're a dude or a dudette with a mobile device in your hand, you're empowered, you're ready, go. Why are you still here? Go take the picture. So that's what we wanted to get to. But yes, obviously that other stuff makes sense too. And so if you've got other content that is useful in here, feel free, roll it in.
Awesome. And then regarding the physical tour component of what we do in the real estate community, whether you're an owner operator going to go canvas a property with an agent, or you're an occupier or a tenant going into for retail, office, what have you, is your platform designed so I'm elaborating, just trying to help contextualize here, but is the process designed in lieu of a physical tour?
Obviously in situations like we're in right now, it can be used in lieu of a physical tour. Do I think people are going to stop viewing or physically touring properties before they make a decision? Absolutely not. No, we're human beings. We're going to go work in these places 40 hours a day. You're going to want to touch and feel them. But what we want to do is remove the process friction. If you think about a typical survey process, you're going from maybe 20 buildings down to 10 buildings, down to 5 buildings. Doing that all with property tours is hard, right?
Yeah.
And then once you've got it whittled down to your short list, now you got to bring in a whole other set of people to come in and actually do the same thing because they've got to buy into the process.
Yeah.
And so we're just trying to make that discovery online. When we say that, this is what we mean, is really trying to simplify and accelerate that phase of the process. So when you're actually in those properties, you're not 90% of the time going, that's not my building. You're pretty sure going in that probably is your building or your set of buildings, a few buildings that you want to go experience because you've been there already. You're already excited about it.
And Ash, just to wrap up, my thought about that question was, it's kind of when Jim and I first met a couple of years ago, I kind of challenged him in a way. And I was like, I've been a tenant my whole life, right? Small tenant. And I love John Mizell. I think he is one of the top brokers in the world. And I would, any excuse to see John. But, you know, if you're a tenant, small, large, or what have you, it's a time-consuming process to select space, particularly if you're not even local, and you know, you got to drive somewhere or you got to go somewhere. So I said, Jim, this process of showing space has not changed in generations. There has to be a better way. Okay, yeah. Everything in the world has changed: delivery, shopping, everything except the way that we view and get informed and collaborate around space decisions. So go freaking fix it, will you? And I think him and the team have. So congratulations, Jim. Sean, Blair, you guys.
One last question that I wanted to save for last because I think it was a brilliant question. And I wish the person wasn't an anonymous attendee because this is a brilliant question. Could you see this being extended to building maintenance and engineering teams, third structure, maintenance rounds and work orders and others?
Yeah, it's one of those things that once you are able to effectively enable a decision about a physical place, and that's kind of the core capability. And again, I've been doing this for 15 years, starting with Streetview up until now. Like, that's always been the challenge. It hasn't been about pretty content or cool experiences. It's about how do you make money? How do you help somebody make a decision that they're faced with? And whether that decision right now, yeah, we're focused on commercial real estate and the challenges of making that decision. But in the commercial real estate space, there's all kinds of decisions that deal with their space. It is the one thing that makes real estate stand apart. It's the damn place, right? How do you learn about that? How do you share that information and make those decisions collaboratively? Whether it's, you know, and again, in kind of a maintenance scenario, again, I'm feeling for tenants right now, having to figure out how to configure space to be safe. Like, there's all kinds of ways that this particular product could enable those things to be a simpler and, frankly, at this point, I hate to say it, safer way of doing it.
Well, I think I couldn't have ended it on a better note
well
than
done.
that. Yeah, that's awesome. That's all the time we have for today's conversation. Mike, Jeff, and everyone on the Place.net team, thank you for sharing your thought leadership. I hope everyone, including our amazing audience and community, had a fantastic time. I certainly did. I loved it. If you'd like to learn more about Place.net, please click on the poll below to receive more information. If you like to, if you have any questions about CRETech or would like to learn more about innovation in the built world, venture capital trends, and so much more, please check us out at cretech.com or email us at research@cretech.com. Again, my name is Ash Gonzandia. It was a pleasure to be your host today. Thank you everyone for joining the conversation today. Have
Great job, Jim.
Day.
Thank you, Michael.
Great job, man.
Awesome.
Team.
Great job,
Super
guys.
excited. Thanks,
Phenomenal.
Ash. Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Claire.